Good evening. Could you all stand with me for the invocation and Pledge of Allegiance? Councilman Rogers.
Let us pray. Our God, our Father in heaven, we thank you for this day and for all the blessings you've given to each and every one of us here tonight. We ask a special prayer tonight on missing Councilman Roger Bibby. We pray that you'll be with him, be with those doctors that are administrating to him, and help him so that he'll be able to get back with us sometime in the future. Tonight we pray that you'll be with us and guide us as council and mayor as we discuss the business of the city. We continue to pray for those serving the armed forces abroad and serving in harm's way. Be with them, guard them. And these things we pray in Christ's name, and amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you, Rick. Yes, sir. If I could have all of the baseball players and the coaches up front, that would be great. If you'll turn around, fellas, and face the crowd, they would like to meet you all this evening. Ladies and gentlemen, it's my pleasure this evening to present to you the Vienna Vigilantes 8 under A team. This team is the 2019 champions of the Vienna Invitational Tournament. And so what I'd like to do is I would like to have for the coaches to say a couple words, and then we're going to ask the fellas to introduce yourselves and tell us what position you play, okay? Mm-hmm. Coach?
It's a good group of boys. We came a long way this summer. We, I think, finished our final 13 games, 12-1 and won both tournaments to finish out the season. We grew a lot. We're proud of them. They're hard workers. And this is it.
All right. If you'd tell us your name and what position you play.
Chase Richards, Millfield. Left. Centerfield. Xavier Miller, catcher. Austin Hall, right field. Colin Fry, second base. Landon Horner, center field. Chase Fatty, outfield.
Noah Smith, second base.
Judd Dillon, first. Bronson Linville's third. Bracken Hendricks, center field. Carson Kimes, pitcher.
Congratulations, fellas, on a good year. Councilman Mike Elam is going to give you a certificate. I'm going to read the names. If you'll take them from Mike, that would be terrific, okay? Colin Fry.
The handshake, got a handshake.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Congratulations, Martin.
Austin Hall.
Handshake.
Bracken Hendricks. Landon Horner.
Congratulations, man.
Carson Kimes. Bronson Linville. Xavier Miller. Chase Petty. Chase Richards. Noah Smith. Jet Dillon. And Caleb Atkinson is not here, right? Okay, so coaches, if you, fellas, if you'll turn around and just hold your certificates up so that when he can get a picture, that would be great. right around, turn it that way.
Yeah.
Okay, see your face.
And parents and grandparents, the older they get, the more expensive it gets. This unless you got like a grandpa like Jet Dillon does with baseball, you gotta have some money to make it stuff rain.
All right, one more time, ladies. Thank you very much.
Time to take, so thank you.
All righty. Now you're dismissed to do homework. Thank you. Yeah. Do you remember me? Gosh, that's always fun. So this evening we have no one that signed up for public forum, but last meeting, we had someone ask a question about why on the cable bill there is a indication for B&O taxes. So we reached out to Mark Matkovich, who is the former West Virginia State Tax Commissioner, and his answer was businesses such as utilities and cable companies are allowed to display the B&O tax on their bills because they are businesses that are regulated and must justify their rates. In West Virginia, this is considered a pattern of acceptable practice, and so that is why you see it on those two utility bills. Okay, so September 17th through the 23rd marks Constitution Week. So I would like to read a proclamation for Constitution Week. Whereas September 17th, 2019 marks the 232nd anniversary of the drafting of the Constitution of the United States of America by the Constitutional Convention. And whereas it is fitting and proper to accord official recognition to this magnificent document and its memorable anniversary, and to the patriotic celebrations which we commemorate the occasion. And whereas Public Law 915 guarantees the issuing of a proclamation each year by the President of the United States of America, designating September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week. Now, therefore, I, Randall C. Ratt, by virtue of the authority vested in me as mayor of the city of Vienna, do hereby proclaim the week of September 17th through the 23rd as Constitution Week, and ask our citizens to reaffirm the ideals of the framers of the Constitution had in 1787 by vigilantly protecting the freedoms guaranteed to us through the guardian of our liberties, remembering that lost rights may never be regained. In witness thereof, I have hereunto set my hand and caused the seal of the city of Vienna to be affixed this 12th day of September of the year of our Lord, 2019. So try to remember, if you will, that next week is Constitution Week, and we should all be very grateful that we have such an important document. I'd like to call to order this regular session of the Vienna City Council for September the 12th, 2019. Let the record reflect that I've taken roll, that all members of council are present with the exception of Councilman Bibby. Having a quorum, we will proceed. The minutes from the regular council meeting held on August the 22nd, 2019 have been printed, posted, and circulated. Are there any corrections to the minutes? If there are no objections, then the minutes will be approved as posted. Report of the treasurer, Councilman Leach.
Thank you, Mayor. I have in front of me the reconciliation of funds dated September 12, 2019 for the city of Vienna. I've reviewed the accounts. They appear in order. The They do reflect that the city is moving through the budget process and taking care of business, and the city is fiscally sound.
All right, thank you. This evening, we've started our agenda with one item under unfinished business, and that's an ordinance on second reading, creating and regulating land lot parking areas. This is an ordinance creating and regulating land lot parking areas. Be it ordained by the Common Council of the City of Vienna that whereas it is the intent of the city to encourage small businesses to utilize areas that due to limitations in parking areas available to it may go underutilized, and to encourage economic development in those areas. This is an ordinance on second reading. This basically is where the city is going to create parking lots in some of our areas so that these businesses that do not meet the zoning requirement of the required number of parking spaces based on the square footage of their businesses, so that they can use these areas as common areas, and that way they will qualify for the new businesses. This will be an amendment, this will be the ordinance that it will be replacing is 139.05, and that is a city ordinance that applies to the existing buildings. Did I say that correctly? Close enough?
Close enough.
There you go. Thank you. Moving on. All right. So I'll entertain a motion on second reading for the approval of an ordinance creating and regulating land lot parking areas.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve on second reading the ordinance creating and regulating land lot parking areas. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Moving on, we move to new business this evening. Under new business, we have several bid approvals and a budget revision. So, Mr. Leach, would you like to take us through those?
Yes, ma'am. So the first item is bid approval for the Parks Department purchase and installation of adult playground equipment. Sealed bids for the purchase and installation of this adult playground equipment were opened on August 19th, 2019 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Davis Athletic submitting a bid of $52,255. Snyder Recreation submitting a bid of $46,580. However, Snyder Recreation submitted an incomplete bid as they did not possess a West Virginia contractor's license. After a careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council for the approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase and installation of adult playground equipment is Davis Athletics for $52,255. Funding for the project will be from the city's 2019-2020 general fund budget pending council approval.
Thank you. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the sealed bid from Davis Athletics in the amount of $52,255.
This is a great project, so moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Davis Athletics. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the bid from Davis Athletics for $52,255, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. Second item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval for the Parks Department. Mr. Leach.
Yes, this bid approval was for the foam coating for the park and maintenance garage, recreation, sports building, and the senior center. Sealed bids from the coating for these buildings, and the senior center were opened on August 23rd, 2019 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Foam Coat Roofing and Coatings, Inc., $40,150. E&D Construction, $75,255. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the foam coating of the Park and Recreation Building, Park Maintenance Building, and the Senior Citizen Center is Foam Coating Roofing. I won't get it right. Foam Coat Roofing and Coatings, Inc., $40,150. Funding for the project will be from the city's 2019-2020 general fund budget pending council approval.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bid from Foam Coat Roofing and Coatings in the amount of $40,150.
So moved. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Foam Coat Roofing and Coatings. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from Foam Coat Roofing and Coatings in the amount of $40,150, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, same sign. Motion carries unanimously. Third item this evening is a bid approval from the Police Department. Mr. Leach.
Yeah, bid approval of the police department for cellular modems for the police cruisers. Sealed bids for the purchase of 13 cellular modems and equipment were opened on August 30th, 2019 at 10 a.m. with the following results. Ergotech Controls, Inc., 600 megabit option, $11,374.74. 12 megabits per second option, $12,674.74. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the purchase of 13 cellular modems and equipment is Ergotech Controls Inc. for the 1200 megabit per second option, $12,674.74. Funding for the project is budgeted in the city's general fund.
Chief Pfeiffer, is your recommendation that we go with the 1200 megabyte? And that is because of the bandwidth that is dedicated so that it's always available for your officers?
Yes, that is band 14 capable, which is for FirstNet, designed only for first responders, so there's not priority preemption on that megahertz frequency.
All right, thank you very much. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the bid from Ergotech Controls in the amount of $12,674.74.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from Ergotech Controls for $12,674.74. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from Ergotech Controls for $12,674.74, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The next item on our agenda this evening is a bid approval from the Police Department. Councilman Leach.
This is financing for 2 police department vehicles and sealed bids for the financing of 2 2020 Ford Utility Interceptor vehicles plus equipment were opened on Wednesday, September 4th, 2019 at 10 a.m. with the following results. BB&T 3 years 2.33%, 4-year 2.35%. United Bank 3-year 2.74%, 4-year 2.74%. West Banco 3-year 2.89%, 4-year 2.94%. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for the financing of 2 2020 Ford Utility Interceptor vehicles plus equipment is BB&T, the 3-year bid of 2.33%, 4-year bid of 2.35%. Funding for the project is budgeted from the city's general fund, and my understanding is that the recommendation is that we do opt for the 3-year 2.33%.
That is correct. I'll entertain a motion for the approval from the bid from BB&T in the amount, in the terms of 3 years at 2.33%.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the bid from BB&T for a 3-year term at 2.33%. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of the bid from BB&T for 3 years at 2.33%, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed, motion carries unanimously. The item number 5 this evening is a bid approval from the Street Department for the paving of various streets. Councilman Leach.
Sealed bids for various street paving projects were opened on August 23rd, 2019 at 9 a.m. with the following results. Jimmy Harper Construction, $520,434.55. Brown Asphalt Paving Company, Inc., $487,252, no cents. After careful review of the bid proposals, the recommendation for council approval from the Budget and Finance Committee for various street paving projects is Brown Asphalt Paving Company, Inc., $487,252. Funding for the project will be from the city's general and coal severance fund.
I'll entertain a motion for the approval of the low bid from Brown Asphalt Paving in the amount of $487,252 for the various street paving projects this year.
Also moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the low bid from Brown Asphalt Paving in the amount of $487,252. Is there any discussion?
Is this the same bid package that we looked at previously, or was there additional streets, additional mileage? I guess I'm asking that because of the difference in the bid this time from the contractor versus the last bid.
Mr. Skogstad?
There were no changes to the basic specs, as to my understanding. The technical specifications remain the same. We changed the way that we solicit our bids to make sure that we included things that we stopped taking for granted, that sophisticated businesses dealing in the business of, in this case, asphalt, were aware of the laws of the state of West Virginia, and so we started putting the specific statutory provisions in them. So no, there have been no addition that I'm aware of, roads, curb cuts, park, any of that stuff. So,
Do we, and I don't expect that we may not know the answer to this, but in general, do we know how many miles of streets are being paved with this contract? That's just something I'd like to have the answer for if we don't have it tonight.
I do not have that answer, Roger, but
Okay.
I know that it's been calculated because of the, every street's been designated for the areas, and so I will get that answer for you.
That would be fine. So the bottom line is, it appears like there was really no reason other than they could raise their prices versus what it was just a month ago.
I had a question about that too, Roger, and I talked to Craig Metz this morning. So with the performance bond and bid bond, I mean, on the performance bond, that is the premium that the vendor pays, which is non-refundable. I mean, basically that, just like you pay for your car insurance premium. And my understanding is that might have been a reason that the bid went up. I don't know that I'm correct, but I had the same question. Do you know, Russ?
I don't know. I mean, it could be difference in price of month material, or the difference of the price of materials over the course of a month. We are requiring that bid bonds be done, as we always have, but we're no longer taking other acceptable surety. It is a bid bond or nothing else. And as far as the performance bond and what have you, those they would have had to have done anyway. But we're trying to eliminate this whole idea of other acceptable surety so that everybody has the same. It's all consistent. Everybody has to have the same bid bond, or at least the same thing, as opposed to just giving a check for 5% of the total value of the project. Everybody has the same bid bond. Everybody has to have a performance bond, and just trying to make the bid process more uniform. So.
Yes, sir, Bruce?
I'd just like to say I think the bidding on this project was kind of inappropriate, because the first time the same two bidders came and the lowest bid was tossed out because they didn't meet bid bond. And normally when that situation happens, it goes to the next highest bidder, and that bottom bid, which was the lowest, was thrown out. In this case, it wasn't done that way. It was rebid. I'm glad it was rebid because of the fact it saved close to $40,000, but still, I think it was kind of inappropriately done as far as that's concerned. And Mr. Conley asked about streets. A lot of these are not streets. We have a walking path in some other areas that are in this, so they're not totally all streets.
Correct.
But I would like to know the dollar amount that is just associated with the streets, and then how many miles of streets that does. And you're right, I appreciate you pointing that out, but
Yeah.
I'm just, my curiosity
I
is how
understand
many
that.
miles of streets do we get for X amount of dollars?
I agree.
If I can answer the question about your comment, Bruce. One of the reasons why the project was rebid was because there was some confusion about the wording that was in the bid itself. And if I may speak for Russ, and you may correct me at any time, after Russ reviewed the bid specs, we wanted to make it absolutely clear what these terms were to be laid out so that everybody got a fair shot at this project. As Russ made in his, alluded to in his comments, these are both well-established companies that deal with paving every day. But because there are some terms in the West Virginia Code that were not specifically outlined in the bid bond, in the bid packet, we thought it was appropriate to clarify those, make sure that they understood what these changes were. And even though they weren't technically changes, they were spelled out clearly so that everyone that bid on this knew that these were the terms that you had to meet according to West Virginia State Code. Did I say that right?
Yes, if I may. It isn't just the paving project. We've had other projects that have come back where there have been issues where individuals have not submitted things. For example, the parks equipment program or parks equipment bid in West Virginia. Before you can even submit a bid on a construction project, you have to have a contractor's license, which probably explains why we don't have a lot of out-of-state people bidding on projects. But until the legislature changes that, that's what you have. So what we did was we did a review of the entire. We have a general bid specification packet that we do for all construction projects. We redid it, tried to make more explicit what some of these code provisions are, and stop taking for granted that businesses that are engaged in this type of business know these things. And so we just put them in the code or put them in the bid spec, and now there's you can't complain about that. We didn't see that term and condition. We didn't know that was the statute. Fine, it's in the bid spec. So there you go.
Hopefully in the future there'll be less, questions asked and confusion.
Well, I'll
So-
say both of these are reputable companies as far as Brown Asphalt and Mr. Harper, and they deal all the time with contracts through the government. So, I mean, they're no dummies. They knew what was expected of them.
Correct. Yes. Any other comments? All right, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of accepting the bid from Brown Asphalt Paving in the amount of $487,252, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries 3-2.
And I'll point out that I voted no simply because I firmly believe that the city was to a degree taken advantage of because it went out to a rebid. And the successful bidder at this point in time knew the number that he was competing with and was able to raise it and still come in under that number. So, I really think that was a large portion of what happened there. And obviously, I know the streets need to be paved, and I'm sure not trying to impede that. But, I don't appreciate trying to be taken advantage of either.
The last item on our agenda this evening is a general fund budget revision number 2. Mr. Leach.
Yes, Mayor. General fund budget revision number 2 deals with reappropriation of funds, several line items. Line item 1, contribution to the adult playground, reappropriate monies given to the project in the prior year that were not expended. Current budget this year was 0. We will increase that budget by the transfer to the amount of $29,200. So the revised budget is $29,200 is the net increase to revenue. The second line item under the Parks Department, capital outlay, buildings and grounds, reappropriate monies given to the project in the prior year in the amount of $57,430. And in addition to the increase of the $29,200, bringing that total to $86,630. Final line item, Parks Department, capital outlay, buildings and grounds, additional for adult playground. To cover the shortfall in the amount for that is an increase of $5,875, and that brings the total project to $92,505. And those cover the above revisions both for transfers and additional revenue to cover the project.
All right. I'll entertain a motion for the approval of general fund budget revision number 2.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve general fund budget revision number 2. Is there any discussion? Hearing none, then I'll call for the question. All those in favor of general fund budget revision number 2, please signify by raising your right hand. All those opposed? Motion carries unanimously. That concludes our agenda for this evening. Council comments.
I have several, actually, Mayor. I'll start off with, maybe you can tell council, and if not, we can get the answer at another time. But could you tell us what the degree of involvement is with the city as pertaining to Auditor McCuskey's transparency program? I know we're involved with that program, but I just don't know the details of that. Is that something you can fill us in on a little bit at this point in time, or maybe at a later point, however?
I think we'll postpone that to a later point. I'll make a general comment, Roger, but the city of Vienna is going to participate in the program that the state auditor is starting. He's already got, I believe, 5 or 6 cities in West Virginia on board. It's a transparency issue where all of our checkbook is basically going to be live. And so any consumer can go on and go through the various departments and see where the checks were written, where the money was spent. It should be a very good tool for answering questions about some of the projects that we do. It's been very well received. Our finance department has already started working with the state auditor's office, but we have not yet converted all of the information over yet into the format that they're wanting, but we are moving forward with that.
So once we're there, we'll be able to use the auditor's program basically for the citizens of Vienna to look and see the data that has been
That is
submitted
correct.
by the city.
And it's
of
very
Vienna.
detailed, very detailed.
Correct, understood. Another thing that I have just been in the last probably 2 or 3 weeks inundated with phone calls. I've had 4 or 5 different phone calls of citizens complaining about properties being in disarray, and I'm not going to mention addresses. I would prefer just to give that to somebody. But, you know, everything from, you know, weeds and grass not being mowed to junk cars. One particular address I drove by, and there's literally like 5 cars sitting in the yard. One of them's even on jacks. I mean, they're not blocked up. It's just literally on jacks that a kid could get underneath of them and actually get killed if it fell over. So, you know, I don't know. Is Dwayne still the person that we need to give that to, or is that somebody else at this point in time?
No, if you'll get those to Dwayne, he'll either take care of it himself or have Kevin Parrish.
Okay. A few meetings back, we've had at least a couple of our citizens that have requested public forums. One of them pertaining to, or I think actually a couple of them was pertaining to the Vienna Utility Board. I would like to speak in favor of that, and not just with the Vienna Utility Boards, but also with, for example, Budget and Finance. I think any of the meetings that the public can attend, I believe we should be able to have those public forums. And I don't know the appropriate way to do this, Russ. There again, I want to speak in favor of that happening. Maybe it's something that needs to be put on the agenda to be discussed, and maybe it's nothing more than council not being able to make that decision, but I would like council to at least be able to vote in support of that coming up, as there again, not just a utility board, but Budget and Finance and any other meetings that we have that public can attend. So what, does that need to be an agenda item, or is that?
The utility board is for all intents and purposes, is an entity independent of the city of Vienna. It'd be up to the utility board if they wanted to have a public forum or not. As far as any public meeting of any entity that is a subsidiary of the city, and what I mean is Budget and Finance, the Tree and Beautification Committee, any of the other committees that meet. Council always has the option to pass legislation to direct the public forum to be placed on all of the all or any of those agendas. So it's however you want to do it.
Well, I would like to have that placed on the agenda for anything that the council can approve. And I would still like for even though it's the Vienna Utility Board, I would still like to have that as part of the agenda, even if it's a separate line item, if we cannot do anything other than have that discussion and vote in support of it, that forum. So I understand we maybe cannot vote to do it, but we certainly should be able to vote to support that.
You can do that. You can have an agenda item that says you vote to support or what have you, public forum on the utility board agenda. But you can't, council can't force the utility board to have a public forum.
Understand. I absolutely understand. The last thing and this is just a question, and maybe this is something you'll have to get with Craig with, I don't know, Mayor. I seen where we had an equipment operator's job position put out to bid. Is the current employees able to bid on those types of jobs?
Sure.
Okay, do you know if any of them have, and will they be given interviews?
All of the people that have bid over are being evaluated based on their qualifications.
Okay,
That one particular job requires the operation of heavy equipment, but it's also a supervisory position because you will be a crew leader. And so
Okay.
there's a lot more to it than just saying it is a,
I
whatever you
understand.
called it anyway. But that position has not been filled yet. And yes, I am aware that several fellows did apply for that job.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you. That's all I have at this time.
Okay. Any other council comments? Yes, sir, Bruce?
I'd just like to say that Vienna seniors had an opportunity to go to the Wilds yesterday, and we had a bus full, probably about 50 seniors that went up to the Wilds and went through the Wilds. Had a fantastic day. It was a great day. A little on the warm side, but if any of you have not gone to the Wilds before, it's a great tour. I'll promote the Wilds right now. It's part of the Columbus Zoo with Jack Hanna. They have a fantastic operation up there. One of the ladies that were tour guides the other day, she had been there for 19 years. They have all different types of endangered species from all over the world, and I think we had a fantastic time. Last time the seniors went up there, it was over 8 years ago, and we will be taking 2 other trips, one to go into Amish country and another one going to Amish country and seeing a play again later on this year. It's a fantastic program, and there's a lot of seniors that they don't have that much money, so the city of Vienna helps out quite a little bit with our programs and our trips, and I would like to thank the city for that. Tomorrow we're having our normal cover dish dinner at 12 o'clock, and as far as I understand, the seniors will be preparing chicken, and anyone else that want to come, bring a cover dish, enjoy. It's a fantastic meal. I don't know how many of you go to church, but if you've ever gone to a church dinner, cover dish dinner, the ladies always do a fantastic job of cooking their best, and the food is usually great, and even some of the men have some of the great dishes too. So, but anyway, our senior luncheon tomorrow's at 12, and you're all invited. Thank you.
Okay.
Just quickly, just a shout out to Roger Bibby, wish him Godspeed in his recovery, and also thinking about 9/11 this week. We all remember where we were.
I'd like to make a comment on that also, Jim. Yesterday, being 9/11, there was a memorandum sent around that they would like to have various groups do community service projects in order of recognizing the 9/11. And so part of our tree and beautification committee went down to the Gold Star Memorial and cleaned it up, pulled all the weeds, did a really nice job of making that look in first class shape. So Teresa Smith is here this evening from Tree and Beautification, her and her husband Rodney, and Jack Mathers. And what was the other lady's name? Robin Carr. The 4 of them went down as a group from the Tree and Beautification Committee and cleaned that up. And thank you very much for that, because it's really nice. And so we appreciate you doing that as a gesture for that. And so thank you again. The last comment that I have this evening is the next council meeting will be a regular council session scheduled for September the 26th at 7 p.m. With that, meeting adjourned.
Give 'em to you?